What is up, guys? James here from the Light of Raga YouTube channel, and in this video we're going to be doing the weekly reading for the week of November 17th through November 23rd. I don't know about you guys, but my last week's reading was spot on for me. I was impressed with myself. I don't usually toot my own horn, but I gotta toot it because it, at least for me, you know, these readings are not for everybody. It's a general reading. We all are individuals and we're all gonna have specific energies, but as an overall type of reading, I thought last week was really on point. So check that out if you haven't already, although it doesn't really pertain to this week, so maybe don't. One video you can watch is I did a video on these red Lemurian crystals that very few people watched. But if you want to learn more about these red Lemurians, then you can head on over to that video and check out these crystals. They're incredible. I love them so much, which is probably why I made a video on it. But anyway, I digress. That's neither here nor there. Today we're going to be doing the weekly reading for this week. And this spread is designed to give us the feeling of what's coming up this week and what to hold on to and what to let go of. And we're going to be using the Thelema Tarot today. I think it's Thelema. It might be Thelema. I don't know. I've been using this tarot deck for a long time. I still don't know how to say it. If you know for sure in the comment section, put that down there because I would love to know how to pronounce this deck. So I've already dealt the cards out. I don't know what they are. So if you would, please join me in kind of connecting to your higher self. I encourage you to take a few large breaths and get into a semi-meditative state so that you can take in the messages coming in, and I'll do the same. We'll listen to some singing bowls while we do it. All right. Alright, I'm ready to read some tarot cards. The first card we're going to look at is this middle one, and it kind of represents the overall energies of this week. And for overall energies, we've got the 10 of Pentacles. Give me a moment to go into this card. To me, this card is saying the overall energy this week is about counting our blessings. So often in life, we go through life and we're so used to the blessings that we have that we take them for granted. I mean, that's just part of life, is taking our blessings for granted. We take our water for granted, our clothes, our shelter, our food. For those of you, which is probably all of you who live in a Western civilized country, we have transportation, we have electricity. That's a lot of things that people don't have in maybe less developed countries, and we take those things for granted. So, you know, as we move towards Thanksgiving, I think the energy of this week is about showing gratitude for all of our blessings. And not just gratitude. I mean, that's one energy that we should show towards the universe for giving us all of these things, is gratitude. But also appreciation. Also, you know, when we observe what we have, I think that kind of reflects on ourselves. The way that we respond to the gifts that we're given reflects on our state of mind, our state of consciousness. And you know, if you're not appreciating something, then perhaps some changes need to be made within you. So this is I get a sense of self-introspection from this card. For some of you, this might mean a lot of work that's going to have to be done this week. And this could be work in the career sense, sure, in the money sense. But I do feel as though that inner work is needing to take place this week when it comes to the physical world. Right? There's a very pentacle energy here, grounded energy. But it's the 10, and it's about being secure. It's about being safe. It's about having everything you need. But the kind of introspective energy I'm getting is that we need to analyze these things, right? What are the blessings in your life that you couldn't live without? That'll say something about who you are. What are the blessings in your life that you don't actually need? That'll say a lot about who you are. So as we examine the outside world, we're actually learning more about ourselves. And that's kind of the energy I'm getting from this card. So that's kind of the overall energy of this week. So as you go about your week this week, as you go about your days this week, think about that. Think about all the blessings that you have and which ones you need, which ones you don't, and what that kind of says about you. Okay. Next we'll check out this card. This represents what to hold on to this week. We've got the King of Swords. Again, give me a moment to go into this card. Oh, this card is telling me to keep your wits about you. It's going to be very important that you're on the top of your mental game. And to me, what that says, and what the King of Swords says, is that the King of Swords is an energy of a person, and this should be you this week, who uses their ego mind to their top potential, but doesn't let it take control, doesn't let it get out of hand, right? This is someone who can wield their ego mind for their highest good. So to me, this week is about staying sharp. This is a week of not getting too emotional, but rather of figuring problems out from an intellectual level. Right, pragmatically figuring things out. And it's not just problem solving, but this is the way you communicate as well. Communicate very concisely this week. I believe we're coming out of the retrograde the 22nd. I forget. I think we're coming out of the Mercury retrograde this week. So I think this is practice of how you're going to start this new time of enhanced communication, right? Are you going to carry over that kind of weakened communicative state that the retrograde brings? Or are you going to start anew and be more in tune and conscious about the way you communicate and the way you think? So I think it's time to think. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it's time to be very conscious of what you're thinking and what you're saying, and making sure that you're doing it in the highest good, right? That you're not criticizing people, that you're not dwelling too much in your emotions when it comes to problems that you may be having. This means like working with crystals like sodalite, right? That bridge the gap between the emotions and the intellect. What else? Oh, dumortierite. This would be a good crystal to use at this time. It's a stone of communication. Lapis? What about lapis? Crystals that you could possibly be using for this week, or whatever communication stone you like. Chrysocolla, all sorts. Okay, let's move on to this card, which represents what to let go of this week. And we got the Five of Pentacles. And this card is suggesting that it's time to let go of the victim mentality, right? It's time to let go this week of lack. It's time to release the need for help. So this week is about stepping into your own potential and doing it through appreciation and gratitude for the things you already have, right? The Five of Pentacles energy, this is a person who doesn't appreciate the things that they do have. This is a person who's more concerned about what they don't have. So this week, instead of thinking about what you're lacking or what you think you lack, or how you're deficient in some way, think about the ways that you're abundant. Think about all the things that you have. Think about the tools that are at your disposal now in the moment. And if you're honest about that, and if you're using your ego mind in the way that it's intended, then you're going to start to see logically that you have all the tools you need to create whatever it is you want to create. It's just a matter of appreciating them and using them to their highest potential. So we need to do away with the victim mentality this week. We need to avoid falling into the trap of saying, woe is me, because we're just creating more of that. When we embody that energy, when we push that energy out, we're just creating more of it. And that's not what we want. We're moving towards abundance. I really feel that the Ten of Pentacles is a card of abundance. And it's going to be hard to allow that abundance to come in if we're putting up blockages to it in the way that I mentioned, and thinking about lack and that sort of thing. So overall, I'd say this week is going to be a prosperous week. It feels like a transition week. At least for me, I can only speak for myself. Last week was kind of a waiting period week of, the full moon energy was pretty intense, and it just didn't feel like the time to start new things. But now we're moving into this week. Now's the time to get back on the horse and shift gears and start thinking about creation and abundance. And you can only do that if you are right. If you're right in the head, in the mind, in the body, and in the soul. And so this spread is suggesting that it's time to get right in the head, in the mind. It's time to the body, is the outside world. It's time to start feeling healthy thoughts about that. And the soul, it's about not getting down on yourself. It's about realizing your potential. So this week is definitely a transition week. I get the feeling we're gearing up for a time of creation. So make sure that you're healthy and ready to do that this week. Okay, before we go, I'm going to pull a card from the Untamed Truth Oracle. And then this card will just give us an overall message for this week. All right, and we've got restriction. Give me a moment with this card. The message I'm getting here is that the restriction is within you. We create our own restrictions. The outside world doesn't restrict us. It's what we choose to allow to restrict us that blocks us from moving forward. And I think this week is an important time to be aware, be cognizant, figure out what our restrictions are. What is restricting you? And you may point to the government, you may point to your bank account, whatever. But what I mean is, what inside of you is restricting you? How are you restricting yourself? That's something to think about this week, and it's something to help you in your creative process, whether it's in the physical creative process at work or with your art or whatever you do, or if it's on the energetic plane and your creations and manifestations energetically. So be aware of what's restricting you this week, and I think you'll have a very great week. So before we go, as I want to start doing on these videos, is let's just listen to the singing bowls one time and kind of get back down to earth. Alright guys, I want to wish you a fantastic week. Be sure that you're creating from the heart and getting ready to create. So I want to thank you for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoy this. Happy taroting. Peace.